The return of Pep Guardiola to Bayern was something I never needed to see.
Pep Guardiola is coming.
The man dominated and revolutionized German football, but had a blemish on his record, defeating Joachim Chroo. Well, I guess I wasn't a manager back then.
What a beautiful surname he has.
Of course, the flaw was the Champions League, a competition Pep wouldn't be seeing. What? They finished in 5th! Well, we're entering it for the first time. Thanks to that, 63 million was given to spend. Big transfers were required, and one was Daiki Ogawa.
Felt like a butterfly, seemed like a bee.
The Blackpool native arrived for 40 million. I intended to play him at center back, but he ended up rotating with Niels Rosa at the anchor position. Next up, from Basel, we signed Adriano Onyekbule for less than 10 mil. I swear, this guy's way too similar to Ouedraogo. Both have first names that start with A surname beginning with O, are German with West African origins, tall, born a month apart, and their attributes are nearly identical with a couple slight differences. I'm just imagining what AO squared could do. Finally, Yusuf Musa arrived on a free from AC Milan, and his attributes led him to be my rotational right back with Bulut loaned. Based on the opening match of the campaign, you'd expect great things from us with a 4-0 victory over Hoffenheim. That's what you call false confidence. And we learned that the hard way at Stuttgart. During preseason, we suffered a bunch of injuries, preventing several to gain proper match sharpness. Plus, our number one keeper was out. That led to a difficult encounter at the MHP Arena, facing a former friend, Lorenzo Luca, who we sold to our opponents for 30 million. A hero for us, but with his scoring tally dwindling and me wanting to fizzle out the target forward role, parting ways seemed to be the best. However, that wasn't the case for me. On 2 occasions, he received the ball onto the right flank and was allowed to make the same exact cross to Vodarczyk. Luka helped make Stuttgart a serious team again, with 14 goals throughout the campaign in only 15 starts. It wasn't going well, especially in October and November. Several drop points in the league had me question the beautiful 4-2-2 narrow. That resulted in experimenting with a 4-3-2-1 using 3 defensive midfielders.
What the hell is this?
It ended up looking like this and was used versus Pep's Bayern Munich. Looking at them, they certainly have a strong front 3 of Mathis Tal, Schelderup, and Gonzalo Moreira. They also brought in old man Marc-Andre Ter Stegen in net, and Carlos Baleba looks like an unreal midfielder. Yet, a few key men were missing, and they have a relatively small squad of quality, all things considered. This match had decent opportunities on both ends, but it'd be the Bavarians who opened it up. Mathis Tel getting on the end of this cross. Don't you worry, we responded straight away with Onyekbule getting it in behind to Wiper for the equalizer. Unfortunately, we were in bad form for a reason. Simple mistakes being made, like 2 pressing Schelderup, leaving Baleba wide open in the box for their second. They continued to create chances, yet did a terrible job taking them. We weren't letting them walk over us though, and became adventurous. That risk paid off in the 90th minute as Ouedraogo passed to a pile of players, which found Wiper for the equalizer. A missed header by Bayern at the end confirmed a very good draw, leading to a confused face on Pep as we shaked hands. Could that result be the turnaround we need? We lost to Bochum 2-0. Yeah, no Bundesliga wins in 6 straight fixtures.
What?
And while reverting to the 4-2-2 brought 3 victories on the bounce, a narrow loss to Dortmund on matchday 17 had us placed in 6th, 5 points from 4th, and not even close to 1st. It's not ideal to have combined losses and draws higher than our triumphs. There were 2 big issues in my opinion. Goal scoring was a glaring one, but the other was at left back. For this entire adventure, I used an inverted fullback, and it usually was Matriciani. The problem was the lack of width it provided. I never had a left-sided version of Carrera, who had the quality to go forward. Unlike Matriciani, Bjorkan would have solved this problem, but I stupidly sold him in the summer. With the winter sale of Moritz Jens, that led to a lot of money available in January. So Alex Valle was bought from Atletico Madrid for 29 million. Now I can use wingbacks on both sides. Several tactical changes were made, including the return of the target forward. It was paired with an advanced forward, and either could be filled in by Wiper. I made him the big man, since I decided to give a kid from the academy a chance. Erik Holthaus arrived at the Knappenschmiede Academy many years ago, along with Niklas Brosch and a few other promising players, several of whom are still at the club. Unfortunately, our youth intake lost its magic touch after getting a new head of youth development, except for this guy. Maybe one day. Still, our academy is regarded as the third best in the world, and with Holthaus going from a goldfish brain to a legitimate pacey striker, he would be quite useful. Numerous balls began being sent in behind opponents' back lines, which meant great things for Holthaus, and subsequently, us. 3 goals from him in the first 4 Rückrunde matches led to 3 wins and a draw. Nice momentum right before the knockout playoff round of the Champions League. Our first ever Champions League campaign was relatively mixed. In the league phase, we got the victories we're supposed to get, drew clubs that are probably at our level, and lost to some pretty good teams. That resulted in 20th place, so in order to get to the round of 16, we needed to play RB Leipzig over 2 legs. It's always a challenging encounter. All we have to do is look earlier this season, where we drew 1-1 in a tight contest. Updating their squad for you, they still have a few regulars, including Amos Opeyemi. He's joined by Super Eagle teammate Victor Aletu, who was our former loanee. Van der Voort is their keeper, but my biggest fear is their center back Lukeba, who I'm surprised hasn't been bought by Real Madrid. Simakan, as we've learned in the past, is one to be careful of too, as was showcased in the 5th minute. It's not like I gave him tons of space to make that cross, but it was only a temporary setback. We showed danger prior, but it took nearly half an hour to find ourselves. Several first-time passes broke down Leipzig's shape, leading to Holthaus to equalize. An offside scare in the second half kept us on our toes, and the luck would continue. Less than 10 minutes to go, and Carrera's cross doesn't find the target, but Stanisic's clearance smacks our player, leading to Osmani cleaning up the scraps and handing us the first leg advantage. Heading to the away tie, I knew they needed to go at us, so cautious was the way to go. Weirdly enough, we were maintaining more possession and creating huge chances. This Holthaus crossbar smack made me think it was one of those days, but wipers soon after put my worries to bed. A 2-goal advantage, and Leipzig weren't threatening, although they grew desperate and began clawing their way back. Then, off a corner, the second ball returned to the taker, Baturina, who was having a shocking performance, so nobody decided to press him. That error, which I have no idea how to prevent, switched everything. Another offside scare led to the final 10 minutes, which saw me make changes to protect the lead. Except, we didn't learn from our previous mistake. Baturina received the ball in the box, and Carrera gave him so much room to shoot on his strong foot for the equalizer. I know you can tell your team to show certain players on their weaker foot, but shouldn't this be an obvious thing to do as a defender? Annoyingly, this went to extra time, where we reverted to the 4-2-2 narrow and scored 39 seconds into the period. Leipzig responded straight away, where Rosa teleports around Aletu, allowing him to find the shittiest player on the pitch for the equalizer. No, I'm not being harsh. This guy is garbage and was still left open. We then hit the post, and Leipzig nearly stole this tie at the death. Penalties are here, and I'm just a little annoyed that we haven't advanced. Doubly so, seeing the quality of our penalty takers, turning a guy good at them, confused and demotivated. Raychik actually scored his, but Jung was stopped, while Leipzig slaughtered every single one, eliminating us from the competition. I was frustrated until I realized the Tin Cans had to play Manchester City. While they had to deal with Haaland twice, they became easy pickings in our Bundesliga encounter, where our season stars Holthaus, Wiper, and Osmani contributed. The latter, by the way, had another great year statistically, despite his attributes not being as good compared to others. The form was picking itself up, finding ourselves in the top 4 spots. But my true goal was the DFB-Pokal. We hadn't gotten past the 3rd round in 4 attempts, but with a 4-1 victory over Kiel, we finally reached the quarters. We hosted Stuttgart, whose earlier victory against us was long erased by a 4-0 slaughtering at the beginning of the Rückrunde. Yep, they were performing admirably with Lorenzo Luca and manager Thomas Lech. Our plan was to find Holthaus in behind, and that worked. But either he was more offside than Darwin Nunez or missed some really good chances. I could sub him off, but he's at least been a threat. And as we approached the 65th minute, our new wingback made use of his width, finding Onyekbule, who in turn assisted Wiper for the opener. Our opponents decided to switch from their boring 5-back, which gave me the idea to sub on Musa.
Musa?
I've got to say, I'm a genius just for that. We moved on to the semi-finals, where our opponents would be Hamburg, Dortmund, or Bayern, and I know which one I want.
Please be Hamburg.
He's so sad.
Quite unfortunate, and in the lead-up, our form slightly drifted with a loss to Leverkusen and drawing Hertha Berlin. That temporarily knocked us out of the top 4, and with Bayern after the March international break, we'd have a little bit of a dress rehearsal prior to the semis. They've been dominant in the league, but began to show cracks with a few underwhelming results. We were running into issues ourselves, with OA Squared both injured. I'm sorry though. Are you overlooking Osmani once again? An early opener led to our best performance of the season. We were piling on chances while the Bavarians wouldn't earn a sniff in our box. The second half saw Kovacevic of all people dribbling his way to make it 2, and a third found by Wiper. A 3-0 win with no shots allowed. Now, can we do this in the DFB-Pokal semis? A chance to make our first final, and disaster struck. They got a shot. Not a problem for us, as 22 minutes in,
Back to Herrera. Jung?
yes!
Jung!
Even Ter Stegen wouldn't save that. Harry Kane at center mid was a nice idea, Pep, but we continued to pile on the pressure. Less clinical this time, however, the final whistle grew closer with little to worry. Although, in the dire moments,
No. Oh, what a miss by Tell.
we made our first cup final and would face Hamburg. A Revier derby would be cooler, but Bayern would let out their frustrations against the future finalists on the following weekend. For ourselves, 4 tight wins in the Bundesliga took us to the last match day of the campaign. We got ourselves into 3rd place, but with Dortmund as our opponents, a lot of possibilities were present. It was less than dramatic. A 1-1 draw, seeing the both of us finish in the top 4. To be fair, Leipzig did bottle it, and nope, Germany didn't earn an extra spot. Nevertheless, the DFB-Pokal final was up. Our opposition was Hamburg, who ended the Bundesliga in last, with just 11 points. Just a single tally more than the record earned by Tasmania Berlin. Although we can't really talk since Schalke nearly broke one of Tasmania Berlin's records nearly a decade ago. Anyways, Hamburg's return to the top flight lasted a mere 2 campaigns, and with them hiring Daniel Thune 3 weeks after Wolfsburg sacked him, it seemed that he remained in the job only due to their cup success. But in our 2 encounters this season, we've won by a combined score of 6-0. Speaking of goals, their top scorer Philipp
Tietz
had 5, and the next closest were several, with 2. Yet, they miraculously got here. Unfortunately for them, their cam got injured early on, and we were seemingly all over them. However, we lose the ball, and they begin their counterattack, making plays down the left wing.
What the? And we concede.
No worries, we were creating chances. It was only a matter of time before we got one in.
Surely something's gonna happen soon for us. Off the bar. Oh, what? He saved that follow-up? How? Let's go. Volley wins it back. Beats the man. Cross in. Over the bar. I don't want that guy there. I'm sorry, Holtheis. You've not done enough. Max, I need you. One, I need you.
But were they ready? They recently returned from injury, and they weren't doing well with their match sharpness. I also forgot to mention that Jung was injured.
What impact will they make? If any. Osmani. A Wiper seals it! Yes!
Back in it, and we're ready to win it.
Good. No! No! What is going on?
This was getting ridiculous. Jorge Fernandez was having the match of his life as the reality of this was starting to set in. In order to extend this match, we needed a goal desperately.
We draw a goal, Moors.
What? Why are you shooting that? Why are you shooting that?
Why? What makes you think this is the best option, shooting up first time? What about maybe cutting outside and taking this space and then potentially having
either a shot closer to the net or Wiper open for a tap-in or even Mursart open for a tap-in? Am I really gonna lose this final? Yes.
I can't believe this. This is f***ing bullshit.
We lose the cup final to a team with 11 f***ing points in the league? We beat Bayern Munich to get here and we lose to Hamburg?